A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This video was suggested by Rory B. Smith, one of my subs. He asked me to talk about the Sixers during the Joel Embiid injury and how they fortified themselves during that time. And I decided to, mix in a little bench love while doing that because the bench has been high-key balling out and not a lot of people have been saying sorry for the amount of disrespect they've been giving that unit throughout the season. But here, we don't do that. We tell Bulls what it is, but when we are proven wrong, we show and give respect. That is the least amount we can do being fans. Sub a brother up for more unique Sixers content because you know what we do here. Okay, let's start. So a large majority of the reason why people have not given the Sixers bench their flowers is because they have been very sporadic this season. Now, I believe we always knew that the Sixers had depth to them, like even going all the way back to the preseason game against the Celtics, right? We always knew that we had firepower on both sides, starters and bench, but the bench hasn't always put it together. They have been very sporadic in their play. During some nights, they were the actual reason why we won, building our lead, or just getting the lead and holding the lead themselves. But other times they were the reason why we would lose. Not having enough scoring punch, just not putting all of the offensive qualities together. Now, one can say, or at least I believe, this is because Shake Milton was the main cog within that operation. Shake Milton, combo guard, both from SMU, and a little bit of a diva, right? At the beginning of the season, it was all or nothing on him. When he was on, it allowed the bench to flourish because everyone stayed open. Milton had the ability to drive the ball into the hoop. It allowed open lanes for people to cut, or allowed the defense to key on him so much that it led to a wide open Furkan shot, or Mike Scott shot too. Now on the flip side, oftentimes when he struggled, the offense of the bench unit wasn't able to get going. When he wasn't scoring consistently and the lack of dynamic ball handlers on the bench, it clogged up lanes and it didn't allow open looks for the rest of the team. I'm not, putting this all on Shake, right? Even though that was his job, but his play style was not to pass the ball. He's more so a combo guard to play off ball, who you can run ISO sets with every now and then, which is why, we obviously got George Hill to help Shake's play. George Hill now is the primary ball handler and Shake can do his combo dynamic whatchamacallit. Now, I have always been a proponent of the Sixers bench, maybe a little bit too much, like a little bit overzealous, because prior to the All-Star break, we definitely were 25th out of 30 in points per game off of bench production. So, even I have my own biases against this team. Regardless, there wasn't an inflection point when the bench started to become who they needed to be for us to thrive. That date was March 13th, 2021, when Joel Embiid injured his knee against the Washington Wizards. That was the inflection point that, not just with the bench, but with the whole team. It forced them to come together and become great so that they may hold the best record in the East. Beyond everything else, that Joel Embiid injury fortified the bench and molded them into the consistent unit that we see today. During that 10-game stretch between March 14th and April 2nd, the bench held it down, allowing the 76ers to go 7-3. Now, a lot of people said we were going to fall off during that time. But the defense held us down. Let's look at these stats. During that 10-game stretch, the starters stayed in top 10 field goal percentage in the league. They were top 3 in 3-point percentage and top 5 in steals. Not too shabby, but looking at the bench tells a bigger and better story. They were top 5 in points at 40 points per game, as well as stayed in top 5 with field goals made and field goals attempted. They were top 4 in free throws made, top 3 in free throws attempted. On the defensive side of the ball, they were first in defensive rebounds, tied for third in steals at 3.9, and were first in blocks at 3.5 per game. The second highest block leader was at 2.5. The Sixers bench went on a tear defensively and is a major reason why Bulls stayed afloat with the All-Star MVP 7-foot center from Cameroon out. After the All-Star break, since that time and since Joel has come back, the Sixers have the top scoring bench in the NBA at 43.1 points per game, as well as a top 10 bench unit defense. A big reason why? Shake Milton, Mattise, Thybulle, and Furkan playing their roles to a T. Let's talk about them real quick. So first up is Shake Milton's stats for the last 2 seasons. Last year is on the left and this year is on the right. As you can clearly see, we have a uptick in most of his categories, points per game and free throw percentage being the most prevalent. Shake has been giving more minutes under Doc's system, so you'd like to see his 3-point percentage to be higher as he takes the same amount of attempts as he did last year with Brett Brown, but he's still efficient from the field while taking more shots this year and more of a scoring load. The major difference between last year and this year, more offensive responsibility, obviously, as he is this team's 6th man. Next up is Mattise Thybulle. His offensive numbers are down across the board, especially his free throw percentage, but on the flip side, his defensive numbers are up, and according to his plus or minus, he has become a more efficient player with Doc. You hate to see his 3-point percentage drop by almost 5%, but we can only hope that he gets better. After all, he is a second-year player. Regardless, his defensive intangibles you cannot teach, and it oftentimes leads to a fast break, which then gives us points in the end. But the major difference between last year and this year, playing Mattise to his defensive strengths a lot more, giving him the assignment of essentially the free safety of the Sixers defense. And finally, last but not least, our boy Furkan Korkmaz. Now, these numbers do not do Furk any justice. This is a case of men lie, women lie, numbers don't, but they can be manipulated without context. And with context added, despite slight drops in offensive numbers, with the same amount of shot attempts that he had last season, Furkan is quietly having the best season of his young NBA career. The difference from last season, more confidence in his game. He has been more dynamic offensively. Like, we've definitely seen him drive to the hoop more. We have seen him ball, handle more, and play make. I was one of the guys coming into this season who didn't give Furk his benefit of the doubt. I have always been a Furkan fan, just because, you know, he's actually the longest tenured Sixer other than Ben and Joel. So off rip, I like, you know, give boys their respects. But I definitely was jaded and, like, you know, upset that he folded last year in the playoffs. Now, that could just be my emotionally irrational Philadelphia fan tendency side coming out, but I mean, yo, he drawed against the Celtics. Like, no. I definitely do not see him coming back next year because he is a free agent. Somebody is going to pay him $10 million per year, and I don't think that the Sixers are going to want to do that. Now, I like, you know, would want him on our team going forward, but it just may not be it. But anyway, Furkan is that bull. I pray to God he shows up in the playoffs, and I think the bull just might. The common denominator that I see within these 3 bench pieces is that their plus or minus has risen greatly compared to their last year. And that can only be given credit to their coach, Doc Rivers, for having them play key roles in his system. When you tell a player what they are going to be doing day in and day out specifically, that helps aid greatness because it's consistent. Now, of course, it's not just them, right? We do have other important bench pieces, Dwight Howard and like now George Hill, Tyrese Maxey too, you know. But we have to give credit where credit is due. These 3 have been putting in work and are a major reason why we have stayed afloat. But yeah, that's all I got to say about the bench for this time. Shout out to the Sixers, winners of 4 straight. Speaking of the bench, Doc was saying that he may run a larger rotation in the playoffs. We just got to see if he'll keep his word. Quick channel update. Your boy got 500 subs. Thank you to everybody. Shout out to the Bulls who've been here since day one. Man, whatever. Shout out to my first 500 subs. All of you guys. Like, it's really much appreciated. We are doing a 500 sub thank you giveaway. I have 3 items up for grabs. The rules, only 2 little small joints. You need to be subbed to the YouTube channel and follow me at my Instagram page at the Ben and Joe Show. That joint only takes like, what, 3 seconds max? Well, probably not 3, probably like 30, give or take. Go to my Instagram page at the Ben and Joe Show for more details. We will be doing this through until the first Sixers playoff game, which is in about what, three or so weeks. So be on the lookout for that, young Padawans. I want to thank everybody for pulling up and listening to A Brother Think. Like, share, subscribe with a Sixers fiend if you feel so inclined. As always, them Bulls are mad because the process worked. My name is Cain, and I will see you next time. Peace.